What's poppin', y'all? We know Drake has been suing UMG, or we're seeing a lot of different motions come up. We're seeing a lot of information, or them attempt to keep a lot of information under wraps. But one of the things that I don't think enough people are talking about when Drake is trying to make his case, because the overarching theme and point of the lawsuit is that UMG spread this song by an artist that allowed for me to be defamed and seen as, I wouldn't necessarily say a pariah, but seen as the worst thing you could possibly be seen as across the entire world. And they assisted him in doing so. They, I guess, gassed his numbers up, however which ways, and that harmed me as an artist. And that does make sense to a degree. And I'm not saying I co-sign it. Obviously, I said it's some sucker stuff that Drake was actually out there going to sue for whatever reason, and it's only in service of Drake. But one of the things that people haven't really mentioned is the success of Nokia, because whilst Drake was dropping his 100 gigs in the summer following up with Not Like Us after he got washed in the beef, those songs quickly went not much of anywhere. We saw that there clearly wasn't any support behind them. For example, I think it was I'm Up, the song with 21 Savage and Young Thug. They ended up releasing a song with Lotto. I wasn't really too fond of that song. And Circadian Rhythm, which is, oh man, that song is just chef's kiss. I love that song. I believe that song is a hit. Not I believed. I thought, I still do think and believe that song is a hit. It just didn't get the necessary support that it did. And to just contrast it, or to compare actually, it got 130 million streams currently. It charted on the Hot 100 itself, just off the strength, off the muscle, as someone would say. And it was around, I think, the 60s and the 70s, and then it slowly dropped off. That's the thing. If you're able to, just off the strength, off the muscle, get a song into the Hot 100, let alone in that range, that's usually when a record label would come in and say, okay, it's time for us to jack this thing up. Let's see what we can do. Let's get it in every Forever 21, every movie, every IMAX movie theater, every mall in America, playing on nonstop, and let's get it in radio stations, restaurants, etc. That didn't happen for Circadian Rhythm. So Circadian Rhythm slowly fell. And that's why in the lead up to Some Sexy Songs for You, there was a little bit of anticipation. There was preparation by people who are strongly in support of Drake, like academics, saying, hey, don't expect too much. UMG might hold this back. They might not support this. Well, commercially, it performed well. It did 200 and something thousand first week. It was Party Next Door's highest selling album ever. It performed well, and we got a hit out of it. Not only did we get a hit out of it, we got what I believe to be Song of the Summer, Nokia. Great song, great beat, great instrumental, great job by Drake. Keep in mind, that song has been in the top 10 for quite a while now. It climbed up the charts, and people chose that song. But for it to get that high in the charts, the record label has to help, and this is in the midst of the lawsuit. So 100 gigs was pre-lawsuit, and they didn't really help there. Now he's in the midst of a lawsuit, and the theory by Drake stans was Drake is getting blackballed, they're holding him back, that's why his numbers aren't looking as hot as they were. But the truth is, Drake would not be able to get to top 10 without the machine. And then they start switching it up and saying, well, he's releasing a product. They're not just going to let the product flop. They gave him a ton of money. They're going to want to support it so they can make a profit or recoup or whatever you want to call it on the amount of money that they gave him. The reason why I say they don't necessarily need to make a profit is because they own so much of his catalog that just breaking even on this particular album or these songs would jack up the streams and have people listening to his older stuff, which would assist them in making money overall on Drake, not just a particular project. That's also why they sign people to 5 album deals and not 1 album deals. It's quite difficult to make sure that you're going to profit off of a 1 album deal than an artist's career, which is usually 5 albums if they make it thus far or that far. So what I believe is that the UMG help for Drake's Nokia, and we know it's a hit, but it's got 230 million streams, and it's been out significantly less time than Drake's Circadian Rhythm, but it's got 100 million streams more. Yet it's been on top of the charts for way longer. If we take a look at the chart data for Nokia, so with Circadian Rhythm, that spent 4 weeks on the charts, and it peaked the first week that it was on the charts at number 59, and then it slowly just fell off after that. The difference between Nokia, which, on the other hand, did a lot better than that. That song, it debuted on March 1st, and it peaked at number 2, and it's been on the charts for 12 weeks. And keep in mind, the peak date was April 19th. So it peaked over a month and a half later from when it debuted. And the important thing to note is that part of the reason why Circadian Rhythm peaked the week that it dropped is because it didn't get any support after. So the initial hype and wave of listeners, of people checking out the song, brought it up that high for the first week. And after that, it's the responsibility of the record label to try to make it spread to an audience that hadn't heard about it, or make sure that current audience is hearing it again and again. That didn't happen. So slowly, Circadian Rhythm just fell. Because if it's just Drake fans really listening to it and not any casuals, you're not going to stay on the Hot 100. Nobody's that strong. Yeah, I would say nobody's that strong. Nokia, on the other hand, though, that song is still doing well. And keep in mind, just in April, it says right here on the Billboard, Drake dials up his 40th number 1 on rhythmic airplay chart with Nokia. So that's a number 1 on airplay. Bro, you're not getting support on the radio this much if the record label is not helping. And some people say, okay, well, why would they do that? Part of the reason I believe is if Drake is making the case that my career was harmed because of the support that you guys gave for Not Like Us, which is, it's inadvertently just trying to point the finger at Kendrick Lamar. Well, what better proof to show than how is your career harmed when you recovered with a number 1 album, Some Sexy Songs for You, and a top 10 song, well, peaked at number 2, a number 2 song, number 1 on airplay, which we helped do that for you. All of these playlisting that you got on that song, they don't even necessarily need to say that they helped. Who knows how much information is going to come out in court. They just show like, hey, look, you're popping this year. You've got Song of the Summer. So how did what we did to Kendrick Lamar, allegedly, harm your career? It's evident that your career wasn't harmed. You're doing better than ever. You've got hits. If we think about it, Drake never had a number 2 song last year when he was beefing with Kendrick Lamar. Family Matters peaked at number 7. The song that he had with Four Bats, that peaked at number 7, and that was pre-beef. Push Ups peaked at number 17. So the biggest song that Drake has had in over 2 years came after the beef. And I think that's just something that UMG probably peppered in and made sure that this song succeeded as well as it did. I do think the song deserves success. Don't think I'm taking that away from it. I love the song. I think it's Song of the Summer. But I think that helps their defense more than anything else. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. I really wanted to create a discussion about this because this is something that I haven't really seen talked about. And it's almost glaringly obvious that how are you going to blame them when they're doing well for you? Yeah, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Go to helloyassine.com. Thank you for watching. Peace.